Summer here. Hey, today on Flow Dreaming, we're going to be looking at inner power and how you can feel just more self-assured, more ready, able, confident, getting a feeling inside of if I want this, if I want to create this or move toward this in my life, there's really nothing that can stop me. Nothing inside my mind, in my heart, outside of me. I'm just a wellspring of inner power. So if that sounds appealing, I think we could all use a little bit more of that. Stick with me because that's where we're going this hour on Flow Dreaming. Flow Dreaming. It's a show where we talk about the power of your mind to change your world around you, to literally affect the fabric of your reality. We talk about this feeling of hope and joy and relief. And that is what being aware of your flow does. It gives you a feeling of power again in your lives. Breathe. I'm Summer McStravick, and welcome to another episode of Flow Dreaming. Hi, everybody. It is episode number 672. 3 tools for growing your inner power, and welcome. Especially if you're new to this show. I've been noticing there's an influx of new listeners hopping on lately, and you're wondering, what does this show talk about? Who is this lady, Summer McStravick? I have a wild and interesting history. I'm not going to go over it here, but let's just say that I began this podcast in 2005 for Hay House Radio. There's a big publishing company called Hay House that decided to develop an online platform, and I happen to be the director of new media there. So I built their station, produced hundreds, if not thousands, of shows and podcasts, episodes over the years. Eventually left, but I started this little podcast. This is my baby, and I've kept it going for 18 solid seasons. So please don't be calculating in your head how old I am exactly. Let's just say it's old enough to be wise. And it's allowed me to cover a lot of ground. So our show focuses oftentimes on manifesting, how to create. And boy, we've been talking about this for almost 2 decades. And it's really fascinating, frankly. If you go back and you start listening from some earlier years, you will see an evolution in my style, in my approach, in my mind, in my maturity, in my wisdom. It's kind of embarrassing. It's also kind of, fun. But that's what podcasting is about. And frankly, that's what teaching is about. And being a mentor is about. Showing up in all the ways that you've changed and grown, because it's exactly the way that we all change and grow. So, you can't hide it. You have to share it. So this brings us to today. And why am I starting this beautiful month, February, with this episode on being powerful and all that? Shouldn't I be shifting over to love and relationships? Well, I probably will do a little bit of that, but if your inner power is sunk, makes everything else in your life an uphill battle, a chore. And last episode, we talked about how to turn your emotions from your enemy into your friend. That was episode 671. So I'm kind of leaping off on that, still staying a bit on that same theme. Now, Flow Dreaming, as you can tell, we talk about manifesting, but we've moved, in a lot of other directions. Seriously, people, I've had, 2 decades to kind of fly all over the board. And some of the things that fascinate me so much today are, where does our inner power come from? What does our inner knowing mean? Are we allowed to shift, change, and transform in our lives? Why are we afraid to transform, especially as we grow older? Where do we lose that flexibility, that comeback ability or bounce back ability? Where do we look at the trust in our life and realize I need to keep rebuilding this? Oh my God, I've been focused on building my family and building my career and building my income and even going to the gym to build my body. But there's this entire area of my life that I just kind of set on autopilot because frankly, I didn't know anything else to do with it. And that is my emotional self, right? My inner being, my core, who I am. Why and when, and maybe I should start rebuilding that, giving that some constant vitamins, right? So I hope that this show becomes that vitamin to you every week. Jump on your treadmill and give it a listen, drive into work, give it a listen. It's your vitamin for growing that emotional, energetic inner power that then you can do anything with you want. You can co-create, you can manifest, you can have that talk with somebody that's a difficult talk. You can do anything. So let's jump in to our topic, 3 tools for growing inner power. So in flow dreaming, really, it is a technique, but it's kind of a worldview, right? It's kind of a philosophy that brings a lot of things together. And one of those is the amount of emotional energy, mental, emotional, and spiritual energy that we all have to work with on any given day of our life. We take for granted kind of our body energy and, God, we go to the gym and we take supplements. We do all kinds of things to exercise, right? To get that body energy up and going. But we don't often do much for our emotional energy, for our intuitive energy, our deeper spiritual self energy. Besides maybe, go to church every now and then or read some uplifting, book or maybe some self-care. But if you're like most of us, it's a little hodgepodge. It's not real consistent. So the first thing I think of is, all right, when I don't have enough inner power, where is my energy already going? Where is it going? And I look around and I think, it really is getting siphoned off in a lot of different ways, a lot of different places in my life. What do I mean by siphoning off? Well, if I have a situation and I haven't really addressed it and it's just kind of percolating along, and by situation, you know what I mean. Like, it's that thing, I've got to deal with it. It's my brother, it's my boss, it's this coworker, peer, it's somebody. That in my world is called an energy leak. It's an emotional leak. You're not dealing with it, but you're not dealing, well, you are not dealing with it, but you're giving it a certain kind of leak of attention and awareness that's ongoing. Imagine it like a little tiny drain from a battery. You know how if you leave something plugged in and, they say you're not supposed to, all those phantom energy leaks in the house are like, if you're not using it, unplug it. And like who really does that with their TV? Nobody. Toaster oven? Nobody. But, all that little power is draining, little microwatts. Imagine you have more than one thing in your life like this. It's not just a situation with somebody else, right? It's a situation in your own heart, something unresolved, right? All this emphasis on inner healing, self-love, like why? Well, you have that thing in your heart unresolved and it's just sitting there. It's just, you're aware of it. A little bit of you is always kind of pinging it. There you go. There it is. There it is. Not ready to heal that yet. Can't heal that. Bad thought about myself. Like if you close your eyes for a second, you can almost feel the subtle drain. Some of us have accumulated a ton of these energy drains, not on purpose. I mean, it's never on purpose. In some cases, it's like an avalanche or a cataclysm of stuff just came up. Maybe we lost somebody we love and then we had to go through all the work to, take care of their assets and their home. And there's a lot of grief and there's a lot of family dynamics and it's just like a perfect storm of unfinished stuff or stuff that's just sitting waiting or stuff that's having to work through. It's just drain, 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 drain. Others of us, we don't have that big climactic thing. And that was just an example. It could be anything. Lost your job, broke up with somebody you care about, trying to manage a disease. It can be some bunch of little things, though, that have just accumulated over your life. I got the dent in my car. I still feel angry about that. I haven't gotten it fixed yet. Haven't cleaned out my garage. I hate going in there. It's all spidery and yucky. What's wrong with me? How can I live like this? On and on and on. All these little things, inside things, outside things, drain, drain, drain. When you talk about inner power, what we're saying is, what if you could just tap that battery and it was full? I mean, it was like, boing. Yeah, what do you want to do with me today? You've got energy, not just physical energy, not just mental energy, but those are really key. But there's another kind of energy that brews in us, this sense of power, achievement, ability. I can do this. I can hold this. I can handle this. I can expand into this. I can take this risk with someone. I can take this healthy chance. I can be bold. I can ask for what I want. I can get my needs met. And if I can't, I can let it go. Whoa, that's I think what we all want. So here is your very, very first tip. When you are feeling bottomed out on this essential energy inside yourself, I want you to canvas your life. I want you to think, where are the power drains? Where are the energy leaks? Where is that stuff? If I imagine these are micro holes in a boat, right? And every little micro hole is letting a little water get in, okay? You're going to sink. You're not going to have a lot of buoyancy or lift. You start plugging one little hole, one little hole, one little hole, one little hole. Pretty soon, you're floating again. And when you float, you can go fast. You can go far. So you're going to look at those things. You're going to pick a few, and you're going to experiment with what does it feel like to plug these holes. If you're asking me now, Summer, can you tell me how to plug the holes? No, not in today's episode. That's a whole other episode. Could take an hour, 2 hours. In fact, that's a really core teaching. I have a program called Me School, M-E School. You can find it at flowdreaming.com. We spend just ages, multi-segments on just this one thing, right? Prepping you, getting you ready, filling you up so you can physically, emotionally, energetically feel the difference before we ever start unleashing that power in our life. So go there if you're curious. Let me move on. The next thing is I want you to think about the times in your life where you feel negativity. Now, this is kind of a flashback to, again, last episode, 671, how to turn your emotions from your enemy into your friend. But the negative emotions in your life, like I said last time, I want you to be cultivating a new and different relationship with them. A relationship with them you may have never had before. Now, in the last episode, I said cultivate a great relationship with your whole self, all of your emotional self. It's really important. Trust your emotions. Follow your emotions. Stop looking at them as these constant potential derailers and move instead into, I love you. And we all, like I said, have these different, varieties or highs and lows of the presets of our emotional self. Some of us go real, real low and real, real high. Some of us are more down in the middle. We don't go too low. We don't go too high. It's all good as long as you're staying emotionally healthy within that range. But those negative emotions that we feel, the general day-to-day ones, that's what I'm talking about. And I have a name for a lot of these. A big chunk of these I call lack thinking. Oh, I am just bonkers about lack thinking. I just love lack thinking. Why? I mean, why would I even focus on something negative and say I love it? Because lack thinking for me is like a very good friend, a brutally honest friend. You know how we have those? We love them. We kind of don't always love them because they're so brutally honest, but we can count on them to say to us when we're screwing up. And they do it with love. So with me, lack thinking is this whole genre of negative emotions that will pop up in the day. Like, for instance, if I say, gosh, I wonder if anybody's going to like the new topic that I've chosen for an episode. That's a little tiny wiggly lack thought, a little tiny one, just kind of worming its way through myself. And then I think, oh, well, what does that mean? What are you telling me? What are you telling me? This is where I realize when I have that feeling, a little bit of my power, again, my inner confidence, my power just gets whoop, little micro hole opens up and whoop, out it goes. I'm aware of it. And I say, there's a part of me that's still concerned. What do people think of me? Do they like my choices? Am I wasting my time? Am I just blowing smoke up my own, what? So I look to that and I realize that is something that is depleting me. It's a feeling that's giving me really nothing except one thing besides feeling yucky. It's giving me this opportunity to say, would you like to keep that? Would you like to let that go? How do you let it go? You learn to, you practice it. Again, that's the next phase of this whole inner work that we do and this personal development that we're all invested in flow dreaming, etc. But I make the choice. And I say, well, okay, that thing is not going to have any impact on me. I'm going to trust my topics. I'm going to trust that the things I'm talking about, if I've felt them, probably somebody else has felt them too. Maybe not everybody, but someone has. And maybe it's the perfect thing to hear at the perfect moment because they've been suffering with this lack thought in them that's leaking away their power, that's weakening them inside. So I say to myself, for instance, I'm going to do this anyway. I'm going to do the topic anyway, and let the chips fall where they may. And any other cliche that you guys want to put on to what you say to yourself. But what this does is I've been training myself for many, many years to be able to achieve this kind of flip of my emotions, to become aware of the leak, plug it, and flip it. And I know you can say, but Summer, don't you keep going back in your head to it? Like, how do you make it actually go away? Again, it's a process of training, right? It's like doing cardio. The first time you do cardio after not doing it for 5 years, it sucks. It's really hard and you don't want to do it again. But if you've been doing cardio for 5 years, you're like, it's easy. It's great. It happens fast. Boom, my heart rate's in the right zone. Boom, zip through it. That's what you can do for yourself. So when you are growing your inner power, and you're looking at these lack thoughts, and it's not just lack about things that don't work or I can't have, anything can fall into negative emotion. It can be, I feel upset at myself because there's something I've had on my to-do list, and I haven't done it, and I've been putting it off, and I'm starting to feel really disappointed in myself, and I'm going to do it again, this thing, which is I start it, and then I don't follow through, and I'm angry at myself, and I'm really disappointed, and now I just feel like giving up kind of everywhere in my life as a result. That is another one of those feelings that I want you to flip. What is that actually telling you? Every time you feel anything that falls in the category of negative emotion, even if you can't pinpoint the exact title of that emotion, anger, self-loathing, guilt, lack thoughts, doesn't matter. You just feel crummy. If you can name it crummy, what you need to do, this is number 2, is ask it, what are you telling me? What are you really giving me? Because you caught my attention with this crummy feeling. What do I need to do about this? That is the key question. What do I need to do about this? And you know what? With every crummy emotion, there comes an answer. There's always an answer. What do I need to do about it? Well, you need to take care of this. You need to actually stop procrastinating on it. Well, I don't know how to stop procrastinating on it. Then you need to figure out, why am I procrastinating? Dig deeper. Get to the root. There is always an answer. Negative emotions never just come and stay and don't ask you to do anything with them but keep feeling them. That's like you painting half the painting, leaving the other half of the canvas blank. It always comes with a result, a resolution, an ask of you. Your job is to start finding out what that is. Even if you don't act on it, guys, like that's cool. Maybe you're not ready to act on it. Write down the feeling. Write down, I felt crummy about. Crummy is the underlined word. And then you say, what this is telling me that I need to do or change is, and you write that down. Now you at least have the awareness, even if you don't carry it through yet. Eventually, you'll get to carrying it through. I promise. Especially if you start doing this emotional, energetic world building inside yourself. Oh, that's a kind of a cool way of looking at it. If anybody here reads sci-fi, I just discovered, I don't know why it took me all this time. I've been a sci-fi devotee for, I don't know, my entire life. And I just discovered what world building is. It's when you're creating this alternate reality, alternate future, your dystopia, your world with the vampires or your world with the Hunger Games. That's called world building, right? So you're creating this emotional, energetic, powerful world building inside yourself, this new reality to replace and displace the other one that was pre-existing. And yes, this can happen. Just like you can replace the old muscles, the weak, atrophied ones in your body with ones that are stronger. My doctor's always telling me, you've got to start building bone mass, Summer. And I'm like, I know, because I can rebuild my bone mass if I do the right things. You can build your inner power if you start doing the right things. And maybe that's one of the biggest takeaways I hope you get. We tend to just get floppy and think, I can't, I've tried, it's impossible, this is how I am. But I want you to realize, no, it's not how you are. You can, you actually can do this. And you can go fast and hard and get it done quick, or you can do it slow and gentle and let it evolve over time. Makes no difference. You just begin this, you begin. So the third area that I want to talk about, of course, is flow dreaming. Now, this is, for me, the technique. This is the thing that I do to build this inner power. So for instance, to go back, if I say, I just discovered that I was having some insecurity, are people going to like this topic that you're listening to right now? And I said, what I do is I've trained myself to flip it and say, they're going to be fine with it, I hope. And if they don't, oh well. Nothing gained, nothing lost. But then I might carry it a little further. I might go into my flow and create active energy around the fact that this episode is well received. It reaches the right people or persons. I feel impact coming from it. I feel connectivity. I feel like it's truly been of service. I feel joy. I feel hearts lighting up, right? I feel all the things that I hope will happen, even if I don't know they will happen. When I do this, I am, in essence, programming the universe. And I mean that with all my heart. I mean it in a woo-woo way. I mean it in a scientific way. I mean it across the board. When I am feeling the thing that I want something to result in, there's a specific phrase for this, name for this term. It's called my emotional endpoints. My emotional endpoints, my true goal is that the people who resonate with this, get it, feel it, change. That I'm making this micro impact that just ripples across multiple people's lives, and they change because of it. And then they make a small micro impact around the people's lives around them. And then it spreads and it spreads exponentially. That is so cool. Right? That gives me like all the reason in the world to spend an hour putting something like this particular episode together. It's an emotional payment for me, if you will. So what I do is I don't just hope for it and trust. Those are good. But then I go in there and I actually tell my life. I tell my future. So a key idea in flow dreaming is if you think something, if you feel something, it now exists. It exists. It's like if you make something, it now exists until it's, crushed down again into its component parts. But even then, There's a kind of universal inscription that happened that said, all this stuff was once this. It's a quantum way of looking at things. And I'm going to just be very zhuzhy about that, loose about that, because to dive into it is going to take a little bit longer than I want to spend on that. But the basic essence is, if something has achieved a form, that is indelible. It is known. It is there. It's been created. It's added to the knowledge of all things, all that is. And whether that thing changes shape later, a redwood is a redwood and the universe knows it's a redwood, but then eventually it's struck by lightning and it falls and the termites eat it and the mycelium, and it just goes right into the earth, and it is brought back down into its component parts. So if that's the case, does the universe forget that there was ever a beautiful redwood? No. It occupies a place in time. It's a snapshot. It's a photograph that records a moment, a beingness. Therefore, everything we think and feel is recorded in this kind of beingness. And if we are thinking and feeling something about our future, about something we want, about a kind of power or intensity or growth or reward that we want, a confidence that we want, the universe is dutifully recording that. It becomes part of us. It becomes part of our being, our system, our future self, our current self, and then our past self. So the more you do this, the more you are, in essence, tipping the scales. You are adding more and more of the things I do are of merit and purpose. They're received by the right people. And maybe you add into that, and I'm rewarded as a result. I am rewarded in whatever ways I need to be rewarded so I can continue doing more of this, grow it, expand it, make it more beautiful, make it blossom. My work is receiving the fertilizer of connections or payments or whatever it may be. Just using this as an example. But this is where I go into flow and I create these feelings over and over and over. You know what happens over time? I change. I shift. I would have to. Because now all of these new feelings are pouring into me that weren't there before. Before, I just had the negative emotion trigger and I kind of went, and I moved on. I didn't replace it with anything else. I didn't let life know, no, this is how I really want to feel instead, and I'm going to start feeling it right now. Can you see how this will build your inner power? It just does. It just works. So of course I use flow dreaming for many other things, but this is one of the key things that I use it in every single day. In fact, today I'm looking around my office here as I record. I'm noticing I've got several things that I'm using this on right now. Things that I want to develop in my business, in my life, characteristics I want to develop in myself. Yeah. When I say you can build your inner power, you can become this very self-assured, confident, yet flexible and humble person who feels like I feel confident that it will work out, and whatever way it works out will be the right way. Right? You're actually kind of changing and modifying your own inner personality, right? Your inner characteristics. And I don't know if therapy tells you you can do that or not, but it's been my experience that yes, we can. Once we begin practicing, once we begin a kind of emotional growth and development program. And the result of this, the end result, like the reason you would do something like this is, I always look back and I ask all my me school students, what are we doing this for? Why did you come here? Why did you decide that this was actually the core thing in your life versus all the other things you've been chasing all these years? And it comes back to this. If I have the ability to feel strong and powerful and self-assured and trusting of my decisions and trusting in life and the universe to help me and give me the right opportunities and divine timing, you know what's going to happen for me? All of those things that are stuck, stalled, never happened, that I got frustrated on, that I gave up on, that I still feel hurt and unhealed around, all of those things are going to clear up. It's like someone's going to take this giant brake lever and release it in my life. That's why I'm doing it. And I want that. I want that. The older I get, the more I realize, the window for a rich, thriving, go-get-'em life gets smaller every day. I can't afford waiting any longer. So I'm here to do this, and thank God I ran across even the possibility of doing this. That's why I'm begging you. Work on your inner power and let things flow from there. Inner power does not mean that you're hard, mean, cranky, non-giving, selfish, that you will lose things, that you will have to cut stuff out that won't be replaced. You'll be empty, friendless. That's a whole other area that sometimes we think, if I grow stronger, there's going to have all of these negative repercussions. There'll be negative repercussions. And so we don't do it. We're afraid. Right there? Remember what I said? Point number 2? That's a negative feeling. That made you feel crummy, huh? I'm afraid. I'm afraid that there'll be too high of a cost for this. Okay, what is that emotion really saying to you? I'm afraid of loss. I'm afraid of loss. So what can you do with that? Well, as I practice my inner power, I'm going to cultivate feeling more and more connected. I'm going to practice, perhaps via flow dreaming, feeling I'm deeply connected with others. Even if things shift and change, they're the right things and the right people and the right place for me comes into being. And I'm feeling that. That's what my inner power is gifting me with. I'm ready for the next level. That next level means new opportunities, new people, new stuff. That's what I've been hungering for. When I say I feel stuck or I'm not sure where I want to go or I've been trying to get there and spinning my wheels over and over, it means I'm ready. Bring it on. That's inner power for you. That's why it's so key, so deep, a thing to work on. So if you do anything in the year ahead for you, maybe you can make a commitment in your heart right now into your inner power, to developing it, growing it. What do I have to do to get it? I always tell people, because I work with a lot of coaches, as well as people who are just interested in personal growth. I work with a lot of business people in corporate, people who have their own entrepreneurial positions, jobs. And they love to run out and collect degrees, diplomas, take this class, get that certification. They have these things stacked up in their offices up to their necks. And one of the things we always talk about in our calls together is you keep getting skills without the ability to fully utilize them. When will you just hit the pause button on that? And let's go back to this inner space in you. You want to be able to use this to the nth degree? Come here, do this. And then we'll walk it backwards. And then the next time you go and you get some certification or you decide to take a big step out and show yourself to the world and gain a new audience or make that proposal to your team, your boss, you're going to feel like, I am so past ready for this. I can completely take this to the next level. I can squeeze every drop out of this, use it for all it's worth. And then I can move on and do the same thing with the next thing. Now that's like, how we take vitamins and they say that they usually, wash out of our body, like vitamin B. You guys, you know that? Why it's always so bright orange in the toilet? Right? Okay. Yeah, I said that. Because all the vitamins are washing out of your body. It's not being absorbed. The same thing with all the stuff that we do. It's often not absorbed until we go back and we up-level our absorption ability, which means up-leveling your inner power, this basic, fundamental. You have your full battery. Your energy self is like, oof, I'm topped off, ready to go. I'm paying attention to what those crummy feelings are telling me. And every time one comes, I embrace it. I give it a kiss and I say, thank you for showing up because you just told me what I need to do. Thank you. That's your whole purpose. Thank you. You told me what to do. Bye. Now you can go because I'm going to fix that. I'm going to go into flow. I'm going to work on my inner power. I'm going to create the different feelings I want instead. And I'm going to start this journey. So that I hope really helps you, gives you a worldview understanding of what this means. And you know what? I actually did today's episode because I love polls. And I put up a poll. I have a group on Facebook called I Love Flow Dreaming. Put up a poll. I said, hey, you guys, what do you want to hear about? What topics are at the top of your list? And this was one. So this is for all of you who voted for that, suggested it. Thank you. I'm listening. Anybody who wants to be in that Facebook group, I Love Flow Dreaming, just go there, request it. Might take us a day or two to get you in. Or you can find me on Instagram, Summer_Mixdrabic, Summer_Mixdrabic. There's also a Flow Dreaming channel on Instagram, but you know what, guys? I'm never really there. Sorry. I use my private one, which is Summer_Mixdrabic. So, if you love that, if that was helpful to you, the only payment that I beg of you, request of you, is if you have a second to tap the stars or rate it wherever you're listening. I can't possibly tell you all the places and ways to do it, but if you're on iTunes, there's a way, tap on reviews, leave a review, Google Play, Spotify, wherever it may be. Just do that. It would be crazy helpful. And things you can say, you don't have to be like, oh, it's this great show. You can just say, hey, listening from Wichita, listening from Ontario, and just anything. Just give me some feedback. Let me know you're there. And with that, I'm going to wrap it up today and just express my love and gratitude to all of you guys for doing this work, for being here. It is not a joke when I say that I care for all of you. When I say I love you guys, I do mean it. Anybody who's walking this path with me, even if I don't know you personally, I know that there's a little piece of us that's the same. And I honor that. And I know how hard it can be in our lives sometimes to be this way that we are, having this desire to keep pushing, charging ahead. And I love that. I love that about you. And I want you to know you have support and you are not alone. I'll see you all next time. Lots of love for another episode of Flow Dreaming. Hey everyone, thanks for listening today. One request before you go. Please rate this podcast, either in iTunes or tunein.com or wherever you listen to it. It'll only take you a minute to do, but your rating there is the number one way that other people discover this show. And the more ratings, the more people who will find and get turned on to Flow Dreaming. While you're there, you might also want to download my free Flow Dreaming podcast app. With this app, you can listen to the show anywhere you want on your mobile device, as well as search through listings of all of my episodes and bookmark your favorites. And if you want to listen to Flow Dreams, actual Flow Dreams on your phone, there's even another app. It's my Player app, and it will let you browse and sample Flow Dreams from the shop. There's even an oracle inside of that app to help you see and discover what you need to know most or what Flow Dream would be best for you in your life right now. You can find these apps on iTunes or in Google or your Amazon App Store. And again, thank you so much for giving back. Love you. Bye-bye.